And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes from Mr. Darkholm. Asked the question, who wins in a fight, Billy Butcher or the Punisher? Now we can look at the TV versions or the comic versions of these characters. And it's again, this is similar to the last one I did, Bako, Shoto, and Deku versus Part 1 Kakashi, about when you're getting these characters, particularly Billy Butcher, in the story. Because in concept, these guys aren't too similar. They've been effed over in some way. Frank losing his family to crime, as well as in the series being betrayed by fellow comrades, all that, and then going on a one-man mission to seek revenge for them. Billy Butcher, basically, his wife was assaulted by Homelander. Well, actually, it was Black Noir, but at least in the comics. But Homelander, in the show, that he has Homelander somehow managed to have a kid with her. He's out to just get revenge on all soups, basically. Now, as far as I know, Billy Butcher is actually former CIA in some fashion. Or at least he has ties to the CIA in the show. But as it stands, he's more just, he's just a bloke. He's a very intelligent, capable individual who can definitely abuse the system in his favor. But ultimately, when it comes to like an actual like one-on-one fight with someone, he's not really like a martial artist. He's not really someone who's like carries a supreme amount of weapons on him. Because he's fighting individuals who to be fair, Punisher's also fighting superpowered individuals a lot of time too. Though a lot of his rogues gallery is more street level. Still, I have to say it's Punisher majority of the time, especially if we're looking at the comic versions of these characters, because there's a whole run of the comics where Frank Castle kills the Marvel Universe. So there's obviously ways he can kill even highly powerful superpowered beings. So Billy Butcher would be of no consequence to him. The real more interesting question is the Netflix version or the live action version, the television version of Punisher, versus the television version of Billy Butcher. That's where it gets a bit trickier. Because if we're looking at this up until Billy takes Compound V for the first time, Frank would still mess this guy up, no problem. He was a trained Marine and a damn good one at that. He is brutal. He can keep taking hits and keep going on. He's armed to the teeth almost every time you meet him. He is a ace shot. He's a crack shot. It's one of those things where it's not in Billy's favor early on. However, once you get the Compound V bullet, or like Temp V, I know there was Temp V first, which basically gave him more or less Homelander-like powers. And then they took Compound V, which is apparently, from what we understand, at least right now, we got the final season coming. He can have these worm-like tentacles that can rip even powerful soups apart. We don't know how powerful he really is yet, but still. Now you're getting into levels of power that Frank isn't really capable of handling. But that's not because he isn't capable of handling it. We just haven't seen him really go toe-to-toe with anyone of a real superpowered stature within the TV series. All of his opponents have been either human or very mildly superhuman. Like him fighting Daredevil. Daredevil is only very mildly superhuman. He's still physically a regular guy who's just, in good shape. He just has enhanced senses. We're going to probably get a better idea of how he can handle or what Frank's disposition towards superpowered individuals is once we get to Brand New Day, because Frank Castle is in Brand New Day. Jon Bernthal's Punisher is in that. And we know for a fact that, obviously, Spider-Man's in there. But we know for a fact, too, that Hulk is allegedly in this film. It's implied that Mr. Negative is in this film, who's another superpowered individual. So we'll get to actually have an idea of how he handles superpowered beings more. We'll have a clear picture of that when that movie comes out. But until then, I got to go by what we look at. And if it's Temp V Billy, well, Temp V is, just as it sounds, Temp V. If Frank could survive him long enough, sure, he could get the win out. And hell, even if he just maybe hits him with like a grenade launcher or something to temporarily pull him down, at least knock him on his ass and then hightail it out there. And Billy's got to look for him. As long as he's aware that Billy's abilities would be temporary in that version of the fight, he could take that fight still. It's the new version of Billy that we just don't have a good answer for. Especially because, again, he was struggling to rip a fairly powerful Soup. I can't remember her name. That she had the power to blow people's heads up. And she could take a hit from Homelander's heat beams to the eyes. So she was not weak physically. I mean, she wasn't like Homelander strong, but she was not weak physically. So that's the Billy that's going to be the most difficult. But we just don't know what his ability to take damage is at this moment. My guess is he's still insanely durable, so standard gunfire is not going to work. Low caliber rounds. If Frank pulls out anything like a 50 cal on him, maybe, but that's going to be a lot more tricky to deal with. Superpowered Butcher is a lot more difficult for Frank to deal with, at least in terms of his live action Netflix. I keep saying Netflix, but TV version versus a base form Billy. Base form Billy, honestly, not that much of an issue for a live action Frank to deal with at all. And honestly, even throughout most of the comics, even when he did temporarily get powers, Frank deals with superpowered beings not on a day-to-day basis, but he does deal with them. Honestly, he should be able to handle. Ooh, man, still yawning for whatever reason. Be able to handle them without too much difficulty. And yeah, it really comes down to Frank going up against a live action Billy if he's superpowered, and live action Frank. So yeah, I'd still overall lean towards Frank Castle in this fight, but there are avenues I can see Billy winning, definitely. And until then, though, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.